A long time ago, the forward pass was perfected on the beaches of Cedar Point. Only fitting that Bowling Green continues to ride a roller coaster of a season as we welcome in Michael Burwell from the Toledo Blade. He covers BG on a regular basis for the Blade. Michael, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you for having me.
We went through a valley last week at Miami, and now they're going back uphill after an impressive win at Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable, just back and forth for BG, and it was all about defense and special teams against Buffalo last week. Forced 5 turnovers, had 4 interceptions. Obviously, very rainy conditions, wet. That played a factor, but I mean, 5 turnovers, that's the most BG's had in 7 years, I believe. Punt blocked, that was returned for a touchdown. It was a huge play in the second quarter. Offense kind of sputtered in the second half, but did just enough to win. Terrion Stewart was the usual Terrion Stewart, third 100-yard rushing game in the last, I think, 4 games. So at this point, a win's a win. And the way head coach Scott Loeffler was talking after the game, it's a lot better, you know, when you have mistakes, which they had plenty of mistakes, obviously, against Buffalo. It feels a lot better to correct them coming off of a win than it is coming off of a loss.
I suppose one statistic that shows just how up and down this Falcon team is, as you pointed out earlier this week in the Blade, they have the most turnovers in the nation, but they've also turned the ball over the most in the nation. Really,
really remarkable. As after Saturday's game, they had 3 turnovers and forced 5. And my first thought was, wow, I wonder what that stat's going to look like after this weekend. And yeah, 16 turnovers forced, tied, I think, with Western Kentucky for most of the nation. 16 turnovers given up, tied with Colorado State. Just absolutely incredible. There are 10 interceptions defensively, one of the top in the country, and then 6 forced fumbles, obviously, is one of the top in the country as well. So Bowling Green is certainly giveth and they've taketh. I mean, it's just remarkable how they lead the country in both of those statistics.
One of those guys who does a big part of those taking is Devon Ferguson. We've heard about this guy for a couple of years. He hasn't been able to get healthy. He's healthy this year. MAC Player of the Week for that performance against Buffalo.
Yeah, outstanding performance. It is good to see him healthy because when he is on the field, he's definitely a solid player. A couple years ago, he had an excellent season before a season-ending injury. Got hurt really early in the year last year. Had 2 interceptions against Buffalo, 2 other pass breakups, 5 tackles. Really, really solid game for him last week.
Solid game, as you referred to earlier, Terrion Stewart. It's more than just the raw rushing yards that he's doing. He's hard to bring down.
Oh, it's if he gets in the open space, the first guy isn't going to bring him down. I mean, that's what he's been proving all year. He has forced, according to Pro Football Focus, he has forced 58 missed tackles, and that's only on 91 rushing attempts. I mean, just think about that for a second. I mean, just remarkable what he can do with the football in open space. A couple times he was kind of bottled up in the backfield, you know, maybe a 2-3 yard loss, you know, about as soon as he got the handoff. A couple times that happened against Buffalo, but if he is in the open space, if he can go outside, usually that first guy isn't bringing him down. There was a play, I want to say it was in about the second or third quarter. He runs left. I think he ran for about a 15-yard gain, and I'm pretty sure he had at least 4 or 5 missed tackles there. I mean, just guys bouncing off of him. So strong in the lower body. It's so hard to tackle him. I mean, their rushing offense has obviously improved a lot this year. The offensive line has stepped up and made strides this year, but having a guy like Terrion Stewart has just made all the difference for BG.
Looking ahead now to the second half of the schedule, Bowling Green schedule gets a lot easier. They've got a lot more home games as well to finish up the year.
Yeah, they've been road warriors all season. 5 road games in their first 7 games. They're the only FBS school to have 5 road games in their first seven games. So, yeah, 3 home games remaining in the schedule. I mean, it starts this week against Akron. I know they're happy just to be back. I mean, they've done so much traveling, a lot of late night traveling too. I mean, at Buffalo, that was a 3:30 game. The Georgia Tech game was a 3:30 game as well. So they're really, really happy to be back in Bowling Green.
So Akron comes to the Doit, a 1-6 Zips program, the 1 win over Morgan State, an FCS team. But, you know, they took Indiana to 4 overtimes. They lost to Buffalo in overtimes. They could be better than 1-6, but they also might be a 1-6 team.
Right. It'll kind of be hard to tell. Head coach Scott Loeffler he's treating this like, it's a pretty even matchup. Like, I mean, the records don't really count. This is the way he thinks of it. This isn't a 1-6 team. This is a team that can compete with, just about anybody. They've kind of proven it with a couple of their games this season. So their whole focus isn't on Akron. Their whole focus is just going 1-0 each week. And with all the inconsistencies they've had, that might be just the best mindset is 1 week at a time. How do we win this week? Can't look too far ahead. All of that will take care of itself.
Taking it 1 week at a time, taking the quarterback position almost 1 week at a time, as we saw more of Camden Orth against Buffalo, but that's still very much a position in flux.
Yeah, yep, it's still kind of to be determined. They just wanted to keep Connor Bazelak out. He's just dealing with a lot of injuries and with the conditions and everything. That actually played out because Orth had a really effective game running the ball, and I mean, he really had a career high 72 rushing yards on just 10 carries. He brings that dimension of the game, and just with the game plan and everything with the conditions, they weren't probably going to throw the ball very much. So, yeah, but the quarterback situation is just game by game, day by day, pretty much for a while now.
Camden Orth has proven he can beat teams with his feet. Can he beat teams with his arm?
It's a great question. He looked good, really, really good at times. Started off 8 for 10, made some good passes, nice little touch pass to Teron Keith. Then there's 2 interceptions, really, really poor decisions, bad throws into double, triple coverage. So kind of like the team, you see the best of him at times, then you see the worst of him at times. So he's proven he can pass the ball. I mean, he's proven that he can do that. I mean, they've obviously used him more in running situations, but I mean, the offense really, really struggled in the second half against Buffalo. So they're going to have to get that passing and throwing dimension down going forward.
At the Buffalo game, former Falcon Quentin Morris on the sidelines, and then the next day scored a touchdown for the Bills in their win over the Giants. So some good luck rubbing off both ways for the Bowling Green Falcons. I want to thank our guest tonight from the Toledo Blade, Michael Burwell. Michael, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.